We are doing a webinar called 4 Things Seniors Are Concerned About. The webinar is being recorded. So if you log in afterwards and you miss a little bit of it, don't worry. You'll get an email when we're done with a link to the recording. I'm going to do a little bit of housekeeping. We're going to take about 45-50 minutes to go through the material. You might want to get a pencil or pen, take some notes. Even though we're recording it, some of the stuff that I talked to you about today is not going to be on your screen. When we get done with the webinar, I will take a few minutes for questions. Your invite had my email address. I do reply to my email, so you're welcome to email me. And let me go through and maybe introduce myself a little bit. I'm Lloyd Lofton. I started in the insurance industry way back in 1977. I was born and raised in Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's me there holding that sign up. I had polio when I was 4 months old. I wore brace, corset, and crutches till I was 16. Did 7 muscle transplants when I was 16. Stayed in a body cast for 9 months, and when it was all said and done, I didn't have to wear the brace, cord, and crutch anymore. I still have a limp when I walk. You'll notice me, I'm the one at the airport bobbing up and down. But I started with John Hancock, that's me on the left-hand side of your screen, back in 1977. I was a debit agent with them. That's back in the days when we were all debit agents. Not many people know what a debit agent is anymore. But I was with them until, I don't know, 1990, 1980. I left them as a sales manager, and I went with Combine Insurance Company. I was a field trainer and a regional with Combine. We sold that $20 accident policy and the $12.50 health rider door to door. You had to sell 60 a week to get your initial pin. You had to sell 100 in a week to get your Pearl, and you had to sell 150 in a week with 25 health riders to get your Ruby, all of which I did. And that was back in the walking and talking, not smiling, dialing days. Like a lot of people in the mid-'80s, I left the insurance industry. And my beautiful wife of 30 years and I, that's her and I in a picture of a newspaper back in 1991, we operated group homes for abused and emotionally disturbed children. I always wanted to work with kids. My wife's a social worker by trade. And so we took the plunge in California to open group homes for abused and emotionally disturbed children. We did that for about 14 years. We had 7 facilities with 40 kids, a 25-unit apartment complex for transitional adolescents leaving the system and go out on their own. We had a non-public school. I used to fly up and down the Southern California coast putting on seminars. I'd fly up to Monterey Bay, go over to Silomar, put on a seminar, and my wife and kids would fly up on Friday. I'd do the seminars from Wednesday to Friday. She'd fly up on Friday, and we'd spend a weekend there. It was a great life. The funding for that ended somewhere around 2000 as a result of the Welfare to Work program that Bill Clinton started in 1996. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying that's what happened. And at that point, I'd only done 2 things in my life. I had sold insurance, and I'd operated group homes for abused children. So my wife and I looked at each other and said, well, what are we going to do? All I knew to do was get back in the insurance business. And I did that. I started back in the insurance business in 2001 with Mutual of Omaha. I was immediately successful at that. I used the business acumen I had gained through those years of selling insurance and running my own business to operate my own insurance business. And I ended up being a president's producer with Mutual of Omaha. I left them after a year and did my own seminars for seniors and trained agents on how to do seminars. And then I became an agency manager for a Midwest health insurance carrier, American Public Insurance Company. And in a very short period of time, I was promoted to the home office. I ran the career distribution for them for a number of years. I ran the call center. And then I broke out on my own. And that's what I've been doing since about 2008. I write a lot of industry-related articles in industry-related magazines, Life Insurance Selling Magazine, Insurance Senior Market Advisor Magazine, Insurance News Net Magazine, anyway, a bunch of them. I've been interviewed by the Wealth Channel through American College, been interviewed by Scott Drake with Annuity News Now. You can go to Insurance News Net and read my blog that I wrote in December called The Formula for Earning $100,000 a Year. It's a very popular blog. and it'll give you the format for building a business plan to make $100,000 a year in the insurance business if you're not doing it yet. You can get this month's issue of Insurance News Net magazine and read my article on how to prevent these 5 IRA transfer mistakes. So you can also go to Amazon. You can get my book, The Sidewalk Executive. And the reason that we're doing this webinar today is many years ago, 10 years ago maybe, agents started asking me if I had a recording or a book of some of the tips and techniques that I was teaching. And you know, I think it's a shame. I was trained by some of the best door-to-door guys in the business, like they say, back in the day. And the sad part about it is these guys that were so knowledgeable and so experienced have become a punchline or an afterthought in bars and coffee shops across the country. I talk about Bob Thurston all the time. I talk about James and Rick and a lot of great managers that taught me a lot of techniques, and they're just not around anymore. Nobody's around to memorialize the things that they taught. So I started this training site a couple of years ago as a result of agents asking me for some of the information. You're going to get a lot of that information today. That's why I said have a pen and paper available, because some of the things I'm going to talk about, while they're in the book, they're not in the slides that we're going to go through today. So what I'm going to present to you today is a sales presentation. Today's focus is on the presentation. It's not around all the particulars that go into that presentation about prospecting, making the approach, asking questions. It's not going to the details of all that. We're going to talk about the sales presentation and the predictable buying behaviors of seniors. So these are the 4 things the seniors are concerned about and their predictable buying behaviors. Now, I'll tell you why I call it predictable buying behaviors. Let's take a profiled client. Let's say that we have a male turning 65. His wife is about how old usually? 62, right? So if the male's 65 and the wife is 62, let's kind of have a look at what these predictable buying behaviors are. We know that he's going to do 3 things almost without exception as he ages into this next phase of his life. We know that he's going to sign up for Social Security. When he signs up for Social Security, he's going to automatically be enrolled in Medicare. In fact, if he chooses to continue to work for a couple of years, like I'm 61, so full retirement fee for me is 66.5. If he chooses to work for a couple more years, which I intend on working as long as I can breathe, he'll have to actually opt out of Part B, won't he? So we know these are 3 behaviors that he is going to engage in almost without exception. He's going to sign up for Social Security. He's going to automatically be enrolled in Medicare. And we know that 80% of these individuals are going to get some kind of supplemental plan. That's why we call this predictable buying behaviors. I want to point out to you in the senior market that the baby boomer generation that you hear so much about are those individuals born from 1946 to 1964. And over that 18-year period of time, they all experienced life-changing events at the exact same time, in exactly the same way. Their parents bought diapers and cribs. They bought playpens and tricycles. They watched Wild Kingdom and Mickey Mouse. They used the hula hoop. They danced to Chubby Checkers. They all experienced life events over an 18-year period of time. And as these individuals age into this next phase of their life, they will also experience life events during the exact same period of time and in the exact same way. These are predictable behaviors. One of the things I'm going to teach you today is how to ask questions that are specifically designed to get you answers that you should already know the answer to. So we said there's 3 things that a male turning 65 is going to do almost without exception. He's going to sign up for Social Security. He's going to automatically be enrolled in Medicare. And 80% are going to get some kind of supplement. Now, as a highly trained licensed professional, there's 3 times you have the most influence over your prospects. You have the most influence over your prospects when you help them purchase a solution, when a policy is delivered, or when you're doing a service call. So this is the perfect time to package final expense. Now, while final expense insurance is not a part of this presentation, it's a call we're going to do on Thursday at 2 o'clock. But while final expense is not a part of this presentation, it is a dominant buying behavior. This is a part of this predictable buying behavior, and I'm going to show you why. And I'm going to tell you that I wouldn't have you approach final expense in the way most salespeople approach final expense. In fact, this call isn't about you aligning yourself and being like most other salespeople. This call is about you deciding and figuring out how you can make yourself different from most salespeople. And there's an important reason that you should do that, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But we've talked about the predictable buying behaviors thus far. We know the three things that this male is going to do almost without exception. When he ages into this next phase of his life, we know he's going to sign up for Social Security. He's going to automatically be enrolled in Medicare, and we know that 80% are going to get some kind of supplement. My counsel to you is to package a final expense, and I'm going to show you the message it should be with that final expense. But let's talk about his wife. If the male is 65 and his wife is 62, now here we have an interesting situation. We already know what he's going to buy, a supplement. We know when he's going to buy it, when he signs up for Social Security, because he'll automatically be enrolled in Medicare. We know what the product's going to cost him because it's filed in every state, isn't it? You already know what the rate is. And we already know where he's going to get the money to pay for it. He's been paying for health insurance for the last 30 years. Even if he has group coverage, he's still paying for dependent coverage, isn't he? So he's already got the premium dollars allocated in his monthly disposable income to pay for these products. But here's the interesting thing about buying behaviors. When he makes this decision to supplement, to get this supplement in order to cover the expenses Medicare doesn't cover, he will be repositioning the money that's already in his monthly disposable income to pay for that Medicare supplement. But when he does that, let's look at the consequence of this decision. He will come off the health plan he and his wife have, whether it's an individual or group plan. And that means in most cases, not all the time, but 80% of the time, she's going to have to get her own standalone health plan. Maybe a simplified issue plan with an accident or critical illness rider. And that's how you pick up wallet share in the home. This is part of another training I do called generational marketing. So you can pick up this additional wallet share in that home by helping her get the product that she's going to buy anyway. This is another predictable buying behavior. It's not a question of is she going to get some kind of health plan. The only question is who she's going to get that health plan from. And we already know what the plan's going to cost because it's filed in every state, right? And we already know where she's going to get the money from to pay for it because it's already in her monthly disposable income. She's already spending money on health insurance. All she's going to do is reposition the money they're already spending over to a different product. But let's extrapolate. Let's take this out one step further. You fast forward a couple of years. When she turns 65, what is she going to do? She's going to age into Medicare, and she's going to do the same things he did. Now let's look at this profiled client. On average, if you go to socialsecurity.gov, you're going to find out that the average Social Security check in this country right now for a male turning 65 is $1,341. Go to socialsecurity.gov and you'll see that. I'm not sure about the mic. Can you? Can everybody else hear me okay? Okay, good. So his Social Security is going to be $1,341. If you can't hear you, you're going to have to re-enter your number to your audio pin to get in there. His retirement on average is $1,200. Go to socialsecurity.gov and you can see that. So the household income, not counting any income from investments or anything else, is $2,541. Now the wife's going to get a Social Security of about $900. Now her Social Security is typically less than his. Now I'm not going to get all the specifics of Social Security. I wrote an article on that. You can find that in Insurance News Net magazine or log into one of my trainings when I go through the Social Security training. But let's look at this. Let's fast forward. Let's go back to predictable buying behaviors. We know that sometime in the next few years that one of them is going to pass away, and more likely than not, it's going to be him. This isn't a question of if he's going to pass away. This is a question of when. And it's important that you see yourself as a highly trained licensed professional and address the lifestyle issues that this couple is going to go through. Here's something I want to point out to you. Our peer group, in most cases, not all the time, but 80% of the time, It was within 5 years of our age. That means if he's 65, he already knows someone, a couple who's 70 years old. He already knows somebody who's 70 years old and has already gone through the exact things I'm talking to you about. The things I'm talking to you about are not new to the consumer. The only person they're new to, in most cases, in my experience, is the insurance agent. They're not new to the consumer. They already know this. They've got peers that have already gone through these lifestyle issues. So here's the question. Here's the issue. You fast forward a few years, when her husband passes away, she's going to have a choice to make. At her husband's death, she's going to be able to make a choice of either keeping his Social Security, because it's higher than hers. It's based on a formula, but generally speaking, it's higher than hers, or keeping her Social Security. Now, in my experience, what most wives are going to do is they're going to take the husband's Social Security because it's higher. I mean, it only makes sense, right? But let's look at this predictable behavior. When she makes this buying decision to take his Social Security, what's the other decision she's also making? Isn't she also making a decision to give up her Social Security of $900 a month? That means that if she takes her spouse's Social Security, she's making a conscious choice in the first year that her husband passes away, the most emotionally devastating time of her life, to live on $900 a month less or $10,800 a year less income. And let me tell you something, every product hawking, price hawking salesperson out there that's pushing final expense is pushing it for burial expenses. This is why you should push it to replace that first year income that she's losing, because it's a predictable buying behavior. You can package it with a supplement at the time they're making this life-changing buying decision. And we know it's life-changing, right? Why is it life-changing? Well, for the last 30 years, when they've had to go to a doctor, they have to find a doctor in network, right? And then when they go to the doctor, they have to pay a copay. And if their hospitalized is overnight or longer, they have to pay a deductible. And if they have a procedure done, they're paying coinsurance. When they get a supplement, if they get a Medicare supplement, it might not be the same for MedAdvantage, but if they get a Medicare supplement, a Plan F, they're now able to go to any doctor, hospital, or clinic anywhere in the country access Medicare assignment, show their benefit card, receive their medical care, leave, and never see a bill. You have completely changed their lifestyle. You've completely altered the way they purchase health care. This is why you should package this final expense as a replacement of that first year's income. You should do that because, number one, no one else is talking to them about it. And second of all, they already know someone who's passed away. This is not a new experience for them. It's only new to you. That means over a 10-year period, she's choosing to give up $108,000. So I did this. I took this time to lay the foundation for the profiled client. So let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about the conversation you're going to have with them. See, now I go through this exact same thing in Social Security Tax Surprise. You can get that in Insurance News Net magazine. You can email me and I'll send you the article. But this is why this is so important right here. When I talk about this wife's Social Security right here, and when he signs up for Medicare and Social Security, because this is what you're going to be looking to replace with a final expense policy, even if it's just $10,000 or $15,000, in order to replace that first year income that she's going to lose anyway. But let's move on. I want to talk to you about the conversation that you have with them. There's 4 things that seniors are concerned about, and this is the title of this webinar today, isn't it? So the 4 primary concerns for the 76 million baby boomers that are aging into the next phase of their life is managing the costs, managing the expenses of doctors, hospitals, prescription, recovering at home after a procedure, that's short-term care or long-term care, or not leaving a financial burden for their family. In other words, leaving a legacy for the family. And that's that final expense I talked to you about. Now, these are predictable expenses. These are the expenses that's going to become paramount in their life and will become the focus of their lifestyle issues as they age. But here's the thing. What's the conversation most salespeople have when they call the senior? either turning 65, 67, 70, whatever. Their approach is exactly the same. Everybody uses the exact same script. They all use the exact same presentation. In fact, most of them use the same or similar clothes. And here's my question to you. If you use the same approach, the same script, and the same presentation, and the same clothes as every other product hawking, price hawking salesperson out there, then to the consumer, who are you? Aren't you just another salesperson? The traditional approach, I don't even have to see most scripts. The traditional approach is, I can save you money on your premium. I want to get you the best rate. I can explain Medicare. Now, if the sales presentation is about the consumers, and you say, I can save you money on your premium, I want to get you the best rate, I can explain Medicare, who are you talking about? Aren't you talking about yourself? And we wonder why it's so hard to get engagement from the prospect. Because the script is about us, not about them. So what I'm going to talk to you today about is how to take the 4 things that seniors are most concerned about in the predictable buying behaviors, and let's see how we can package those things together into a script that will engage people. I would encourage you to talk to your prospects about the things they use the most in the order that they use those things. Listen, people like 2 things. People like to hear their name, and they like to have their opinion asked. You're just like this. You go in a car dealership, and you take a car out for a test drive, right? You know, you've all done that at one point or another, right? Now, when you get back from taking that car on the test drive, when you get out of the car, where do you go? You go inside, don't you? And you sit down with the salesman at his desk. Let me ask you this question. What are you going inside there to discuss? Are you going in there to discuss which car you're buying? Or are you going in there to discuss how much you're paying for that car? My guess, most of you are going to say that you're going in there to discuss how much you're paying for that car. Now, why are you discussing how much you're paying for that car? Because you've already taken emotional ownership over that car, haven't you? In fact, before you took that car for a test drive, when you sat behind the steering wheel, I would bet to guess that most of you on this call today made some adjustments in the car before you took it on a test drive. What were some of the things you adjusted? Did you adjust the steering wheel, the radio, the seat, the air conditioning? Did some of you adjust the side view mirror? Did you adjust the windows? Here's what I would tell you that I bet you did. You adjusted the things you used the most in the order you use those things. Some of you got in the car and you adjusted the steering wheel, then you adjusted the seat, then you adjusted the mirror, and then you reached over the radio. Others of you got in the car and you adjusted the radio, you adjusted the steering wheel, you adjusted the side view mirrors, then you adjusted the seat. You adjusted the things you used the most in the order that you use those things. Now, why did you do that? Didn't you do that to make the car fit you? And if you did that, if those are predictable behaviors that you have, aren't your prospects just like you? Here's the question. How do you adjust an insurance product so the prospect can make those adjustments that they use the most in the order they use those things? That's hard to do, isn't it? Keep in mind, people like 2 things. They like to hear their name, and they like to have their opinion asked. So what I would tell you, and what we're going to talk about now, so make sure you got your pen out and take some notes because we're going to go through this fast. Don't sell me something, solve me something. Make your presentation about them and the problem that they're willing to spend money on today to solve. Don't sell them something, solve me something. So if you want to make more, you have to get better. That's why I put this training site together with so many of these techniques and these tips, because salespeople have asked me for years to provide this information. That's why I wrote the book, because salespeople asked me for years about this. It is a pretty simple concept. If you use the same approach, same script, same presentation, and the same clothes as everybody else, then who are you to the consumer? If you want the consumer to perceive you as being different, then you have to do something different. And we're going to do something different right now. We're going to come up with a script. Our script is going to involve tie-down questions and trial closes. I'm sure you've heard tie-down questions before. Everyone learns open-ended questions. That's a question that doesn't require a yes or no answer. And closed-end questions. Questions that the prospect has to answer yes or no. We all know how to do that. But I'm going to tell you to focus on tie-down questions. Now, tie-down questions are questions that are generally used at the end of a sentence. If they're used at the beginning of a sentence, it's called an inverted tie-down. But a tie-down question are generally used at the end of a sentence. You normally already know the answer. Not all the time, but you normally already know the answer. And they're most commonly used, number one, to get agreements on small points. Ask when you know the answer to be yes. In other words, it's like being an attorney. You want to ask a question you already know the answer to. And you want to get and give acknowledgement from the prospect that they understand and agree with the solutions. So it's the difference between using a script and asking questions. So here's the questions I would tell you to use. Instead of saying, I can save you $20 a month on your Medicare supplement premium, here's the script I would use. Now, Mary, as you age, do you think that you get more healthy or less healthy? Now, I want to point a couple of things out here. The reason I'm using the word think right here is because if I ask you to think about something, for most people, they take their objection gear shift in that car and they park it in neutral. When I'm asking you to think about something, what do you think they're not thinking about? They're not thinking about objecting. So when I say, now Mary, as you age, do you think you get more healthy or less healthy? The other thing I want to point out here is the words that are bolded. Think, more, less. You notice that I use more vocal influence on that I use more hesitation on that I highlight and emphasize those words more. Now, Mary, as you get age, do you think you get more healthy or less healthy? Now, see, I'm asking a question that 80% of the time I already know what the answer is. The answer is going to be where I get less healthy. Now, Mary, as you get less healthy, do you believe your medical expenses will be more expensive or less expensive? And again, you notice the words that are highlighted, get less, believe, more, and less. And the reason that I emphasize those words more is to get more engagement from the prospect, to make it more personal so that they own the problem that we know they're going to go through. Remember, their peer group is within 5 years of their age. They already know people that are going through that. So I'm going to get rid of the red there, but just keep in mind the words that are bolded are for emphasis. So I'm just going to kind of go through these questions as I would with any prospect and let you hear how they feel. Now, Mary, as you age, do you think you get more healthy or less healthy? Well, I get less healthy, Lloyd. And as you get less healthy, do you believe your medical expenses will be more expensive or less expensive? Well, they're always going to be more expensive because I have more medical problems. Mary, is that what you're planning on? Now, the reason I ask that question, is that what you're planning on? Most salespeople want to jump to the solution. Oh, I can save you $20 a month. Oh, I can get rid of your copays and deductibles. They're so quick to jump on the solution that they don't give the prospect the opportunity to own the pain, to re-experience the challenges and problems they've had in the past, so that the dominant buying behavior kicks in and they're willing to spend the money on the solution today with you. So I'm going to say, is that what you're planning on? I'm going to get 3 answers from her. Now, that has to hang out there. You have to make eye contact. If you're on the phone, you have to say it with authority, if you're selling on the phone. And you have to let it hang out there like garlic on good spaghetti. Now, that takes a little bit of courage. Some people are not comfortable letting that just hang out there. But I'm telling you right now, it works like a charm. Because they're going to say generally 3 things. They're either going to say, well, I already have a health plan. Sorry about that. They're either going to say, I already have a health plan, or they're going to say, well, that's why I'm talking to you, or they're going to say, I don't know. So that's one of the three things that they're going to say to you. So when I say, is that what you were planning on? I'm going to get a response of, well, I already have a health plan. And then I'm going to go to my next question, because it's like being a lawyer. I never ask a question I don't already have the answer to. So I'm going to say, now, Mary, let me ask you, why do you have health insurance? Do you have health insurance for your best health year or your worst health year? Now let's go back to the previous question. It's a pretty simple question. Is that what you were planning on? Well, no, that's why I'm talking to you, Lloyd. Or, well, I don't really know. It doesn't matter. The next question I'm going to ask is, what plans do you have to manage these growing medical expenses? So keep in mind, if she says, I've already got a health plan, then I have the standard answer. If she says, I don't know, I've got my standard answer. And if she says, that's why I'm talking to you, I've got my standard answer. This is recorded. You're going to get a link for it so you can hear it all again. So let me go through this question again. Now, Mary, as you age, do you think you get more healthy or less healthy? Well, you usually get less healthy, Lloyd. And as you get less healthy, do you believe your medical expenses will be more expensive or less expensive? Well, they always get more expensive. Is that what you were planning on, Mary? No, not at all. What plans do you have to manage these growing medical expenses as you age? Either I've got a health plan, I don't know, or that's why I'm talking to you. Well, Mary, let me ask you this. Why do you have health insurance? Do you have health insurance for your best health year or your worst health year? Now, it's, again, like being a lawyer. I never ask questions I don't already know the answer to. And I'm hoping that you're thinking to yourself, well, you have health insurance for your worst health year, right? Now, the answer to that, when they say, well, your worst health year, is now in your worst health year, are you expecting to pay out of your pocket for medical care, or do you see an insurance company paying those growing medical expenses? And you see how that's set up? Because I want them to buy into the concept that they want the insurance company to pay for those growing medical expenses. And I already know that that's the answer 80% of the time. Now, let's go back to what we started this conversation off with, the 4 things seniors are concerned about: doctors, hospital prescriptions, recovering at home after a procedure, and not leaving a financial burden for the family. Now we're going to bring that into play. So we've already set it up, right? They've given us answers that I already know the answer to. They've got themselves sold on the fact that they expect an insurance company to pay everything. And now I'm going to start asking questions about the things they use the most in the order they use them. Now watch how this works. Now, Mary, when you think about managing your healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, recovering at home after a procedure, which will either be short-term care or long-term care? That's how I'm going to set up my products. Or not leaving a financial burden for your family. In other words, leaving a legacy for your family. See how I set up the final expense to go with the supplement? So practice it. Practice it out loud. Wherever you're at right now, no matter who's around. Now, Mary, when you think about managing, notice the words that are bolded have to be emphasized. When you think about managing your healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, recovering at home after a procedure, or not leaving a financial burden for your family? In other words, leaving a legacy for your family. Now, I want you to watch how we put this together. We're going to help them design a plan that they're willing to pay for today, and we're going to do it using tie-down questions and a trial close. Remember, a tie-down question is a question at the end of a sentence, right? So let's watch how that happens. In this example, we're going to say that Mary says she wants to cover all her doctor's expenses. Keep in mind that tie-down questions are generally used at the end of a sentence. You already know the answer. They're commonly used to get agreements on small points, and that's what we're going to do right now. So when Mary says, oh, I'm going to make sure all my doctor's expenses are covered, I'm going to say, now Mary, about how many times a year you go to the doctor? The answer, it really isn't important. The answer is to reinforce to her that she goes to the doctor X number of times a year, and that's what she wants covered. So she's going to say whatever she say, 5 times a year, 10 times a year. Now, is that mostly just for maintenance needs? Yeah. So Now that's a transition word. It's bolded for a reason. We're transitioning her mind. Again, we're taking that objection gear stick and we're putting it in neutral. So on any new plan you design today, you want to make sure that all your doctor bills are covered. Is that what I hear you saying? Now remember, the doctor bills was her dominant buying motive. Allow people to talk to you about the things they use the most in the order they use those things. When I ask the question, when you think about managing your healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospital prescriptions, recovering home after a procedure, or not leaving a burden for your family? They will answer with their dominant buying motive. They will answer with the things that matter most to them. Just like you, when you took that car for a test drive, before you left the dealer's lot, you adjusted what? The steering wheel, the seat, the air conditioner, the radio, the side view mirrors. You adjusted those things to make the car do what? Fit you. This is your opportunity to help the prospect make the product fit them. So in any new plan you design today, you want to make sure all your doctor bills are covered. Is that what I hear you saying, Mary? And she will say yes. And then you go right back to the original question and leave out the benefit she just named. So I'm going to go right back to, now Mary, when you think about managing your healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of hospitals, prescriptions, recovering home after procedure, or not leaving a financial burden for your family? And the reason I'm going to do that is because I want her to own the solution. Well, sorry about that. So I go right back to the script. Now, when you think about managing the rest of your healthcare expenses, you notice in the first one, I said when you think about managing your healthcare expenses, I'm going to add the word rest in there to transition over to the other dominant buying motives, which is hospital, prescriptions, recovering home after a procedure, or not leaving a financial burden for your family. So now, Mary, when you think about managing the rest of your healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of hospitals, prescriptions, recovering home after a procedure, or not leaving a financial burden for your family? And you continue doing that until you get the 4 things that they're concerned about the most. And that's where you will also package sell the final expense or the short-term care or the long-term care product, because they will tell you that on any new plan they design today, they want to make sure all their hospitals are covered, all their prescriptions are covered, that they don't leave a financial burden for the family, or that any recovery at home is taken care of. See how that works? It's a perfect transition. And when they answer you, you repeat. So on any new plan you design today, then you want to make sure that all your prescriptions are covered. You want to make sure that there's no financial burden on your family. Is that correct? After the 4 things that seniors are concerned about, you close on a minor point. You never say, so do you want to see if you qualify? You never say, let's get the application started. Do you pay by check or credit card? You never do any of that. You've done your tie-down question. You've done your trial close. The only thing left to do is say, now John, or Mary in this case, Mary, let me show you how this works. Now, if I'm selling on the phone, I'm just going to go through the e-app. Let me show you how this works then. Mutual of Omaha requires me to get this information from you. Let's start from the top. You know the answers, I don't, so let me just ask it in order. Is that fair, Mary? Great. And then you just start working from it. If you're with them in person, Mary, let me show you how this works now. And then you go through and you show the rate. Now, here's the thing about the rate. Most salespeople show the price in a defensive manner. They show the price almost as an apology. You should show the price as a validation of the work that you've done with them. The price should validate the value of the product that they're purchasing from you. And the price should be spoken almost as an afterthought, because who's designing this plan? They are. When are they designing it? Today. And when are they getting it? Today. Keep in mind, there's a time to tell and there's a time to sell. At this point, you notice I haven't sold anything, have I? All I've done is ask questions. This is the time to tell. That's all I've been doing is tell. Now it's important for you to use the difference between features and benefits. Remember, a feature is what a product has or does, and a benefit is why the consumer would want that feature. So describe each feature as a benefit. Confirm this is why they designed. Now you close and stay closed. Keep in mind that your goal is to talk to them about the things they use the most in the order they use those things. So we're going to see how to do this. Now, Mary, with the plan you designed today, you'll be able to go to any doctor, hospital, or clinic anywhere in the country that accepts Medicare assignment, and most do. You'll be able to show your benefit card, receive your medical care, leave, and never see a bill. Is that what you're expecting to happen? And this is where they tell you, this is what I want. Here's how the plan you designed today will work. And then you go through the basics of Medicare and the Plan F. So Medicare Part A has a deductible. If you're hospitalized overnight longer, it's $1,288. I'm not going to go through the rest of this. I'm sure you guys know that. If you don't, you can see it in the recording. But when I tell them what Medicare does, then I show them how that feature is a benefit. Now, you said you want to make sure all your hospital bills are covered. Is that still the case, Mary? Great. You'll notice that on the Part A deductible on your Plan F that you designed today, you pay $0 out of your pocket. And you keep going back and forth. On the Part B, on the hospital copays, on the skilled nursing. So in the skilled nursing, I'm going to say that daily room charges you pay $0, outpatient services you pay $0. So that's how you show the features as a benefit for your prospect. So what are the 4 things that seniors are concerned about? They're concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, recovering at home after a procedure, or not leaving a financial burden to your family. You want to present the features as a benefit. So what's the question? Let me just throw that out to everybody. Everybody get the question? When you think about managing your healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, or recovering at home after a procedure? So let's talk about that target market again. Keep in mind that if you have a client of a male turning 65 and his wife's 62, what are the 3 things he's going to do almost without exception? He's going to sign up for Social Security. It's going to automatically be enrolled in Medicare. And 80% are going to get some kind of supplement. That's the perfect time to package that final expense product with it, because you're talking to them about lifestyle issues that are not new to them. Remember, their peer group was in 5 years of their age. They already know people that have passed away. They already know widows that lost first year's income from their husband's Social Security. You're going to be able to pick up wallet share because the wife has to have her own standalone health plan, because you already know what they're going to buy, a supplement. You know when they're going to buy it, when they sign up for Social Security. You know how much they're going to spend for it. All the rates are filed in every state. And you already know where they're going to get the money from to pay for it. They've been paying for health insurance for 30 years. They're just going to reposition that money, right? And then you're building in wallet share. You're building in future clients, because 2 or 3 years later, she's going to age into Medicare. And what is she going to need? She's going to need her own standalone health plan. So if you want the consumer to view you as different, you have to be different. That means that you have to have this conversation. When her husband passes away, now my mother, who died at age 88 from vascular dementia, she lived with my wife and I. We have 6 kids. They're all over the country. So it's just my wife and I. But my mother died at age 88 years old. She lived with us the last couple of years of her life when we took care of her. But she died on June 20th of 2012. On the 24th, I notified Social Security that she had passed away, and her check never came in. That means the income was lost immediately. My mom had a good insurance agent, me. So we had trust and other things like that set up for her. But if you don't bring this conversation up, then not only do you leave money laying on the table, but you lose the opportunity to help them solve a problem that's predictable. We already know this is going to happen. Sorry, I was reading a note someone wrote here. So that means the first year her husband passed away, she's going to lose $10,800 a year income. So package it with your final expense. Now, in order to have these prospects, you have to kind of lead time. You have to get in front of people, right? So what are the lead types that you would use? Well, you use health leads, Medicare leads, Social Security leads, or final expense leads. Now, I would tell you that within my training site, I have partnerships with some of the best vendors in the country. 7-figure sales tools, you got that in your email. You'll get an email after this is over with. And one of my vendors is Target Leads, Richard Buffkin. I've known him for years. He's one of the best direct mail programs in the country. You get a great program. But also, his training program is in 7-figure sales tools. And the reason that that's important for you is there's more to getting in front of prospect than just buying direct mail leads or any kind of leads. There's a science behind ordering those leads and knowing how to approach those leads to be effective. You know, every agent I've ever worked with, and I did it myself when I first got back into business. Back in 1977, I'd set it myself when I got back into business in 2001. I always told my managers I need more qualified leads. And the truth is, what I needed was more leads to qualify. So there's a special program in 7-figure sales tools that gives you an opportunity to go through the training. Now, what's the training? If you go through the regular site, there's 20 courses, 546 lessons inside here. There's 177 videos and 17 different industry scripts, 56 transcripts of trainings. You can do the $49.95 a month program, the $74.95 a month program, or the $119 a month program. Now, there's a special program I've got available just the people that are on this call today. In this call today, you can get 2 of the 20 courses, 26 of the 546 courses, and 8 of the 177 videos for only $19 a month. I mean, for only $19, one time, $19. And the reason I'm doing that is I want you to be able to have immediate impact on your sales results and an immediate increase in your income. You see the value of having a proper training program. When you pay that $19, you get access to the training site. When you go in there, you click on the content up here where it says content. And the 2 courses that are available to you is the basic selling training and Target Leads program. So let's look at what's in those programs. The basic selling, you're going to find the primer on Facebook ads, how to create a sale, how to advertise in ebooks, how to incorporate ads into a video, how to get customers with your business blog, sales ideals for fixed annuities. You're going to get rejection versus objection. That's the handling objection training. You're going to get products that satisfy Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where I showed you how to take care of the 4 basic needs, the 4 things seniors are concerned about, and how to position that in a script so that you help people talk about the things they use the most in the order they use it. You're going to get obtaining referrals and maintaining customers, income from web banner advertisement, 2 more trainings. Now, in Richard's program and Target Leads, you're going to get the advantages of direct mail. He's going to tell you exactly how it works. You're going to get the behind-the-scenes information on direct mail leads, how to order them. You're going to know what the not only the zip code is, but you're going to know what the routing number is. Not hardly any lead vendors that you talk to tell you about that routing number, and that routing number is crucial when you order a direct mail program. You're going to get the direct mail math. You're going to figure out how to get that direct mail from the non-responder list, organize them by routing numbers. You're going to learn about list segmentation. You're going to know why it's important to have that duplicate list. And then you're going to have access to the contact management system that's inside Target Leads. So when you get a lead program, you automatically contact management system that's going to help you drip market into your prospects, stay in front of them. You're going to get training on your supplement leads and over 65 leads. I know I see one message here from someone about turning 65 leads. So you're going to get all the training on that. You're going to get training on the dual eligibles and how to order dual eligibles and where you can package those. You're going to get my final expense training on how to package that final expense with it. You're going to get annuity and long-term care and combo leads training so that you know what ancillary products that you can help package. And you're going to, and now all this doesn't matter if you don't have an activity plan. You know, if you don't know how to get in front of prospects and you don't have a plan to get in front of prospects on a consistent basis, You can go read my article on how to make $100,000 a year, but you have to have an activity plan to get in front of people. So the lesson 12 in Target Leads training is, now that you have your leads, I'm going to show you how to put together an activity plan. Now, this program is only $19. Now, if you went to 1 Minute University and went set in on my 10 most common mistakes salespeople training, you would have paid $147 for that training, like 36,000 other people did. You could also go to Levermann Education. You could take one of the training courses there. On April 6th, I'm doing a training called Perfecting Your Insights Methodology. Now, if you want to take that course, you're going to pay Levermann $99. If you want the audio and the workbook that comes with it, you're going to pay a total of $168. You're going to get all that behind the login for only $19. So this is for 48 hours. I'm going to open that up so anybody on the call today can get it for $19. If you just paid the market rate that Levermann charges of $29 for all 26 courses, you'd pay over $2,500 for this training. You get 2 of the 20 courses that are in sales, 7-figure sales tools. You get 26 of the 546 lessons, and you get 18 of the 107 videos. After you go in there and go through those courses, if you want to get the full course, you email me. I'll give you credit for your $19 back towards just a regular monthly membership. But if all you want to do is pick up some skill sets to increase your income at least 25% just off the information you got off this call, then for 48 hours, you're going to be able to go in there and purchase this. You'll get a link at the end of this webinar, and you can click that link, pay your $19, and you're in there for 2 of the 20 courses, 26 546 courses, and 18 of the 177 courses. Now, I want to thank you for being on the call today. I hope you were able to get at least one tip that you can go out and make some money with. I'm going to leave this screen up for a couple of minutes, and let's see if there's any comments or questions anyone has. If you've got any comments or questions, just go ahead and type them in the box there, and I'll answer them as they come up. That link will be emailed to you right after the webinar closes. You'll get a link today, and you'll get a link tomorrow. Now, once you click that link, the offer of $19 is good for 48 hours. Thank you, Joy. I appreciate it. Any questions or comments? Marsh, thank you very much. That's all right if you got distracted, Ron. It's recorded, so you can always play the recording back. Great. Thanks, Jeff. I appreciate that. Yes, the recording will be sent out later today, and you'll get a link to that recording so you can listen to it again. Listen to it as often as you want to. Get that script down. Make that script you. You know, I learned a long time ago, I can't sell the way Bob sold or Tom Pearson sold with John Hancock. I could take some of their tips, I could take some of their techniques, and I could incorporate it into my style. But I have to sell the way I sell. You know, you have to be like a cow. You have to chew what's good and spit the rest out. So if you heard stuff today that you think, I couldn't see myself doing that, then you probably shouldn't do it. Just pick out the technique or a tip that I gave you today and incorporate that. And listen, you have to make these improvements overnight. I wouldn't tell you to improve 1% a day. Just pick one of these 1% a day. The questions are the most important thing you can ask. Be like a lawyer. Ask questions you already know the answer to. I'll throw some of those questions out there. And Mary, as you get older, do you think that you become more healthy or less healthy? As you get less healthy, do you think your health expenses become more expensive or less expensive? Is that what you're planning on? What plan do you have to cover those future medical expenses? Now, when you think about managing healthcare expenses, are you more concerned about managing the cost of doctors, hospitals, prescriptions, recovering home after a procedure, or not leaving a financial burden for your family? See how it just rolls off my tongue? It's an integrated part of my self-personality. I've learned how to ask these questions, these tie-down questions, these inverted tie-down questions, so well that it's just a part of my personality. There's no effort in doing it. Yes, Bufkin is a genius. That's true. He is a genius. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him for a long time. He's got a great program. Yet his program's worth the $19 alone. Yeah, that's true. You know, $19, to be honest with you, $19 just barely covers the hosting cost of this, but that's not why I'm, you know, this is really drip marketing for me, because if you get one thing out of this presentation and you want to upgrade on that program and you email me and tell me you want credit for the $19 to get one of my monthly programs, and on that monthly program, you're going to sit in on all the webinars. And you know what, I'm doing this for a selfish reason. My goal is to end up working from home and not having to come in and run the company anymore and just do this full time. I had a heart attack in April last year. I had a pacemaker put in. Never thought at 60 years old I'd have a damn heart attack. And so that's what my goal is, to get the training site going where all I do is training, because that's what I like to do. The training content does not expire. It will be upgraded. I'm constantly upgrading. I'm constantly getting partners that put their training in there. Jeff Sheehan, S-H-E-E-H-A-N. If you look him up in Google, you'll see that he was one of the top 100 people to be connected to who's not a celebrity on Twitter. And he and I are partnering, and his Twitter training is going to be on our training site here in the next month or two. So no, the content does not expire, Rod, but it will constantly be upgraded. Thank you for saying it. It's a good webinar. I appreciate that. 7-figure sales tools. You'll get a link to it. Look at the bottom of my website right here. You'll see it's 7-figure sales tools. Just type in 7, the number 7, 7-figure sales tools. Also, on the link that you got inviting you here, there's a link to my LinkedIn profile. There's a link to my speaker profile. All right, guys, I'm going to end the call. I'll take any last questions or comments anybody has, and then I'm going to end the call. All right, you guys did a great job. Buy the $19 program. You're going to get a great deal out of it. Read the article, How to Make $100,000 in a Year. Use this material. Guarantee you're going to make money. You're going to make great money. All right, I'm going to end it, and we'll talk to you later, guys.